guys. Welcome to our Welcome Week podcast. This is episode 3, and we are TNR Sports. My name is Brianna Jones, and I'm the sports editor for TNR.
I'm Colin Kunz. I'm the sports reporter for TNR.
I'm Jared Meadows. I'm the multimedia editor.
And we're here to talk about UC sports and culture. So let's get it going. All right. So starting out, I think we can definitely talk about the sports that are in season right now. So that's football, soccer, and volleyball. Okay, so this past weekend, Cincinnati played against Bowling Green, and they won. And the score was
34-20.
Yeah, 34-20. So I think that that's definitely something that the team needed compared to their loss against Nebraska.
Yeah, it was definitely a good bounce back, something we needed. That first game against Nebraska, I feel like everybody was a little demoralized towards the end of that one, obviously with the interception at the end of that. Yeah. And it just kind of was like, I don't know, everybody was feeling low, and definitely a good big win at home is what you needed to kind of get back into that rhythm and get the team going again for sure.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I feel like definitely coming from a loss, even though the loss wasn't substantial, it's just obviously needed and a good win at home for sure.
I think they still have work to do, though. That loss was pretty bad, and it was probably the biggest game of the season, so I think they'll need to beat Northwestern State pretty handily. I think they lost to Minnesota by 66.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. So they need that, and then they have a bye week, and then they'll play Kansas on the road. And I think if they're able to win those two, then the momentum will be back in their favor. But there's still some work to do.
Yeah, I think some definite positives from the Bowling Green game. I think they definitely showed or used their wide receivers a lot more this game compared to playing Nebraska, where we didn't really see that. So I think that that's definitely good, because I know that early in the post-press conference, they were talking about whether or not Cincinnati uses only their running backs and then doesn't use their wide receivers, or uses their wide receivers and then they don't really use their running backs. So I think it's really just a thing of them finding out what works for them during the circumstances, depending on what's going on throughout the game.
Yeah, definitely. And you're still kind of in the early season where you're still trying to figure that out and see what works. Yeah, definitely that first game, it was the wide receiver play wasn't really there. I mean, the running play looked good, like you said, and the wide receiver play looked a lot better in the second game. So hopefully find like a happy medium here in this third game against Northwestern State, and then kind of set that precedent for the rest of the games going forward. And when you get into Big 12 play, you kind of have it all figured out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they use the pass game to open up the run game. It seemed like against Bowling Green, they tried to start with the run game and it didn't go so well. And then once they realized the pass game was working, they just went with that. I know they had a good run that ended up getting coughed up. They lost the ball on it. I think it was Pryor that fumbled it. But as long as they stick with it, both parts of the offense should be fine.
I think something to note for sure would be that the new transfers that Cincinnati got this past spring, to my knowledge, I think they got about 12, maybe 12. Or at least that's what.
At least like starters, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that that'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table throughout the season.
Yeah, and I feel like just kind of in the world of sports that we're in, it's like the transfer portal is a huge thing, and it can really make or break your team. And hopefully, got a bunch of good transfers that can kind of make the team, rather than having some transfer out that kind of break the team.
And I think as long as I think we've seen that already, where we see their chemistry with them, the newcomers merging with the people that have already been here. So just to kind of see that and see how they're working together to build a better program is definitely cool to see.
Who's your guys' favorite transfer so far for football?
I think it's kind of a crazy pick, but I think I got to go with the kicker, Rusnak. He's a transfer, right?
Yeah, he's good.
I feel like, I don't know, we've just kind of struggled with kickers the past couple of years, and it's just kind of good to have a good kicker. He hit, a 40-yarder against Nebraska that first week?
I want to say it was 45.
Yeah, and it looked good. So I think that's what I have to go with.
I'm going to say Cyrus Allen. I think that he's bringing a lot to the table right now, and so I think that he's definitely a favorite for me.
Mine's probably Jeff Caldwell.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Definitely.
It's the catches he was making were insane on Saturday. So
yeah. I think also something I do want to note or kind of preview is the Northwestern State game for Saturday. So Cincinnati Bearcats will play against the Northwestern State Demons, and they play in the Southland Conference, and they landed last on the 2024 standings list within their conference. I personally think Cincinnati should be able to win that one.
yes.
I think that's it. That's probably a pretty good pick. Yeah.
Pretty handily too.
Yeah. So I think that should be a pretty good win for them.
Yeah, and I feel like something that head coach Scott Satterfield has kind of struggled with a little bit is really blowing out these teams.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably an opportunity where you kind of get a chance at one of those 42-0 games, like those really run up the score, kind of shutout type.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's definitely. It's just I feel like with these teams, it's like obviously you can look at their plays, you can see different film and kind of try to go based on that. But then it's also a matter of if they've made adjustments, to those offense or defenses, and then how to kind of navigate that, going into a new season, So yeah.
I don't think they've had a real blowout win since Scott's first year. It was against Eastern Kentucky. I don't even think you were here yet.
yeah.
It was 66-13. It was a good win, and so I think something similar to that should be expected because Northwestern State, I think, last week was their first win since 2022, in general.
Oh yeah.
They went 0-12 last year. I think they went with no wins in 23 either. Yeah, they went 0-6. And so I believe that last week was their first win. Let me check. The week before, Alcorn State, they won. And then last week, they lost to Minnesota 66-0.
Okay.
And so I would say Minnesota, I don't know if they're better or worse than us. It's too early to tell, but I feel like they're in the same range of football team as us, if that makes sense, like a Power 4 team. So I think something similar can be expected. It's crazy saying Power 4. I want to say Power 5. Yeah, I miss the Pac-12.
Okay, so kind of gearing away from necessarily specific sports talk. Well, obviously we're talking about sports, but questions. So, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in UC athletics over the last few years?
Oh man, there's been a lot. I think me and you are probably the class that will see the most change. Our first year here, they were in the American Athletic Conference.
Mm-hmm.
We were Under Armour school.
Yep.
The practice facility was just like a football field that no one used.
Yeah.
I think everything from a presentation and building standpoint has improved so much.
Mm-hmm.
The new signage in Nippert is really cool to see. I think there's over 1,000 feet of LED lights along the stadium now. I remember when it was just the college football playoff semifinal banner.
Yeah.
The practice facility is gigantic. My thing is I feel like I've seen a lot, but I can't imagine alumni who are in their 40s and 50s that remember the team being in the Conference USA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And playing in the Humanitarian Bowl.
Yeah.
And now we've gone to the playoff. We've gone to the Orange Bowl. So I think it's just I don't want to say it's a college football dynasty mode, but it feels like it is because we're just a random school that's been elevated from independent school that almost was just closed down entirely football wise to being in one of the biggest conferences in football. So
yeah. It's definitely been kind of a climb. And I think one of the other things you mentioned too about like new stuff or like things that have changed is like presentation wise, it's a lot different. I don't know. It's just like everything seems so much more polished now. I think the video boards are a good like point there as well. 'Cause it's like that's not something you really think about as a fan. It's like, oh, new video boards, like what is this?
Yeah.
But like when you get into the stadium and you look and you see they really change how the game feels, and it's like it's such a small change, but it makes such a big difference. And it's like they put so much more work into the small things now that they're like a bigger brand.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's been your favorite story to cover in UC athletics so far? For me, I think it will definitely be anytime. Well, I love doing feature stories. That's just me. Obviously, you know, with takeaways and recaps, like that stuff is cool. But I think I enjoy feature stories because it tells more of a story. So for me, I think it would definitely be last year for the NFL draft, and then I got to interview Corey and talk to him about that, and so kind of seeing how everything played out, but also getting to talk to him about his mindset and what he was doing to kind of prepare was a cool thing for me, at least from a journalistic standpoint.
I think most of the stuff I've done for us is like based in history. I think the favorite story I've done for us would probably be either the history of the Bengals at Nippert Stadium stuff, or for Black History Month, I wrote about the history of the Negro Leagues in Cincinnati. That was really fun. There wasn't very many teams in Cincinnati. I think there was like one that was here for 4 years and then it moved. And just like researching stuff about them was really fun. They played at the Reds' old stadium, and they were given like the Reds' old away uniforms, and that's what they wore. And so whenever the Reds weren't playing, that team was there. I think they even like outsold the Reds at their home games most of the time because it was in the West End.
Yeah.
So that's where like the predominantly like Black community was. And so learning stuff like that was really fun. I hope to do something like that again this year.
I don't know. I've just kind of been in the recap game so far. I haven't really gotten into any of the feature stuff. So that's still kind of to be determined for me. But I don't know, trying to work up some good feature stories for this year.
I think, okay. What games or matchups bring the most energy to campus?
Definitely the Oklahoma game was probably the loudest environment I've heard. Any ranked opponent or rival, easily in football. Pitt was really cool last year too, even though we lost after having a 21-point lead. Basketball is really fun. I think I like the energy in the basketball arena more than the football arena when it's like completely sold out. Xavier, I think, was the loudest thing I've ever heard last year.
I was at that game. That was pretty crazy.
I was on the baseline working that as a marketing intern.
Yeah, I was like, anytime we play Xavier, the atmosphere is just crazy. And to see from, like, obviously being a student and then now as someone who kind of goes to cover that stuff, it's definitely a different experience, I feel like.
Yeah, just don't cheer in the press box.
Yeah, no.
don't do that.
Yeah. Definitely for sure Xavier in like any sport, because I feel like even like with the soccer team and the women's volleyball team, it's like people will come out for those games, and it's like the best environment that they get, and I think that's the coolest thing. That's like whenever everybody hates Xavier so much that it's like it gets everybody out to these games. Like even like during the midweek, like people are coming out in droves to watch these games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the fun thing too is that since they're right there, there's a lot of their fans that go to the game, and so it's just nonstop like screaming between everyone.
I went to a soccer game when they played Xavier. There were so many Xavier fans in the stands, like it was crazy. So I was just like, where are the Cincinnati fans? Obviously they were further down, so I kept walking, but I didn't mentally realize like that I was sitting by a bunch of Xavier fans until I got up and like walked around. So
well, I think they play them in volleyball today.
Yeah, they do.
And they have like the whole wear black if you're a student thing, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's cool to see since we've gotten bigger athletics-wise was like some of the lesser sports getting more attention now.
And
women's soccer. They keep like breaking the attendance record in Jetler, which is really cool.
And that's great. I think that's truly so important. Like, obviously, you know, there's basketball and football, but I think, at least for me as someone being an editor for a sports section, I definitely make sure I'm very passionate about covering those other sports that don't get as much media attention, just because, you know, the smaller sports matter too. And so that's why I definitely do my best to ensure that we're covering those too. So, do you see any pressure on coaches now that UC is in the Big 12?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I have to agree. Across the board, I think it's a lot more pressure on coaches.
Yeah.
I think even more for that matter, a lot more pressure on the athletic director because they're the person directly responsible for those coaches.
Yeah.
And I think kind of a common consensus that I've noticed with fans is that if a couple of coaches aren't doing well, then they start coming for the athletic director.
Yeah.
And I think that's happened a lot more now that we've been in the Big 12 and a lot more eyes are on us. It's like, you know, everybody's it's like a mob coming after them almost.
Yeah, but I also think it's an important thing to remember, you know, with the coaches and everything that occurs with transitioning conferences is it's a learning experience for them too, you know. It's not just the players. You have to learn the entire conference within itself, who's playing in that conference and how you can adjust what you've already been doing to those teams. So I think there's definitely pressure, but I feel it's okay. Like, you can be a passionate fan, but you also have to remember it's an adjustment period for them too.
Yeah, I think right now there's no in between. You're either on the hot seat or the fans think you're the greatest coach ever here right now.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is.
Jordan Bischel got extended to 2031, and I think if he didn't win a single game next season, people would still be like, okay, I want him here forever.
Yeah.
And then if the football team doesn't make a bowl game, then people are going to expect that Scott is fired. Same with Wes and not making the tournament. And so I think the third year, this year will probably be the biggest in the Big 12 as far as, okay, do the people we have right now, are they good enough to go where we want to go? Because eventually you want to start thinking about like national championships at this point. And so do Wes and Scott have enough in them to do that? I like them personally. And so I think it'll still be like a few years before we're at that level. And so unless it's just disastrous this season, I don't see a reason to fire them. So that's what I think.
Yeah. It's also a thing of, I think they're also people.
Yes.
And people with feelings. So I think it's...
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, I think that's also like a very key aspect of fans where it's, again, I understand the passion. I understand the wanting to see these teams that you love so dearly do so well. But it's also another thing of a matter of these are people with feelings. And, you know, they log into social media and see these things. So I think it's definitely pressures on. So I'm like, if they feel the pressure from the university and the fans, you can imagine the pressure they feel for themselves. So I think that's definitely something.
Our fans are great, though. So.
Love the UC fans.
They're very
do. I definitely
passionate.
do.
Yeah, passionate, I think,
very
is the
passionate.
word. Yeah.
I also like how they pay attention compared to other fan bases, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there's a lot of fair weather fans in college sports in other places. And so we could go 0-12 and there'd still be a bunch of UC fans talking about the football team in some way. Same with basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So kind of transitioning to talking about other sports in season. Volleyball is in season. Volleyball had a new head coach, Daniela Tomek. She comes from BG. Volleyball is currently in season. So they play a game on the 12th, and they play Illinois. I think they should take the win on that. I think that volleyball has been doing really good this season.
Yeah, they're 4-1 right now, and they just won the Chattanooga Classic tournament while only dropping 2 sets the whole time, which is very good. They beat Ohio, Jacksonville State, and Alabama. Anytime you can sweep an SEC school in volleyball, I think it shows that you're in the right direction. So I think so far it's been a really good hire for UC.
Yeah, I feel like definitely a program that's on the up, for like more than some others, and I just think that's super positive. 4-1 is like super good already through the year, and I think it'll be cool to see how they progress through Big 12 play.
Yeah, and the head coach, she was at BG for 13 seasons, so I think that shows a lot of growth, not only as a coach but also experience. Because if you're with a team for that long, you're doing something good. And so I
definitely.
think that's very good for UC to have obtained such a high standard coach. So
They're undefeated in neutral site games.
oh,
That's what we like to see.
yeah, that is. Okay, well then I guess we can also. Soccer is also in season. Current record is 2-2-4, so 2 wins, 2 losses, and 4 ties. Their next game they play Houston on September 18th. I think what I've realized, at least with soccer, from what I'm seeing based on record, is that they've tied quite a few games, which from a standpoint of in general, that's good because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's meaning you're being able to hold these teams to the point where it's like they don't win, but also neither do they. So it's a matter of...
You're always like in contention to win, which is good.
Yeah, and they're playing some really good teams. So being able to hold them to that, I think, is good.
Yeah, I've been to a few of the games, and the theme has usually been they've dominated possession. They've dominated the amount of shots on goal they get.
Mm-hmm.
They're all good shots. It's just that they're unfortunate in the goalie saving it, or it hits the post, or it goes out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, they are 2-2-4, which isn't a terrible record. There's only 2 losses in 8 games, so that's not bad at all. It's just, I think the wins will start to come in more once the shots are able to actually go in, because there's nothing more frustrating as a fan and as a player in soccer when you are dominating the entire game and it seems like you're doing everything right except the one last thing you need to do, and that is scoring. And so, especially now with getting into the Big 12 conference play, they need to be able to start scoring, which I think will be happening pretty soon.
We could probably ask maybe one more question and then kind of wrap up. But
I like the last question.
yeah, I was gonna say that. What sports are you looking forward to that are not currently in season? Women's basketball.
Yeah, women's basketball is a good answer. I kind of agree with that.
Basketball.
It's such a fun team to watch, and I feel like a lot of people don't get that the team is so fun to watch, and it's like more people need to come out and see them because it's just such a cool team.
Yeah, where are the go to the women's basketball games. They are free for students. Go to the women's basketball games. Support women in sports.
I was going to pick baseball. Sorry.
That's also an answer.
I'm going to go to a lot of the women's basketball games, but I think it's so cool to see the jump baseball has taken in the last 2 seasons, because we went from, I can't remember the exact projection, but I think our first year in the Big 12, we were projected to finish like dead last.
Yep.
And we barely missed the tournament that season and then made it last season. The at-large bid was our first since 1974.
Yeah.
So we'd only won the conference once in those 50 years to make the tournament. And so when you do something for the first time in 50 years while playing in like this probably the second hardest tournament or conference in baseball, I don't think we're quite the SEC. So it'll be fun to see how they do this year. They did lose Carrington and Landon, but the amount of players they're bringing back that are like some of the top players in the country are also really helpful. Jack at catcher, and then Nathan Taylor is going to be the main starter. I think their biggest thing will be getting another consistent starter. That was their problem. A lot of their guys got hurt last year, and so I think finding a second starter they can depend on will be really helpful.
Yeah.
I just want them to make it back to the tournament, because I went there for a shooting photo, and it was probably the coolest thing I've done yet here.
Yeah.
Because being in Knoxville for that game was incredible.
That is super cool.
Yeah. The only downside was half the stadium was being renovated. So you'd like look up and see like a crane and then like unfinished like press boxes, but there was maybe like they had their own like entire like section dedicated to the students, which we have one like that, but it's like its own like built thing in right field.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting. They have a giant like video board. There's seats in left field. It was like, it felt like a minor league stadium, like a really like good one. And there was only like 5,000 or 6,000 people there, but I think the atmosphere was the coolest thing I've ever been a part of for when we played Tennessee that Saturday. I can't imagine how loud it gets in their football stadium when there's like 20 times that amount of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for baseball though, atmosphere overall, even at home, was really good. Like
ours was really good too.
A couple of like sellouts, right?
Yeah,
like, it was an impressive, like couple of impressive crowds.
The funny thing is, it was always on like a random Tuesday. It was never the weekend games. It was always like the Tuesday game against Miami, Ohio.
Yeah.
But I think now that they've made the tournament, I think like the fans that aren't necessarily as tuned into the baseball program will see that and want to show up more now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And so I
for
think attendance will be even better this year. They've done a really good job with it last year. Seeing the student section get added was really cool. I just think college baseball is like my thing here.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do like the themes that they do. I went to one that they had where it was I think it was a Nickelodeon theme night, and that was actually fun because they had like the music going and stuff throughout the game, and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
So 'cause I know, last year I didn't go to a whole lot of baseball games, so I think my sophomore year I didn't go to a whole lot of baseball games. So being able to go my junior year, it was cool to see.
I wasn't at every home game last year, but I was at a lot of them. I remember there was a Fortnite night. That was.
I remember seeing that on the calendar.
I was trying to shoot photo, and there would just be kids running in front of me, like talking about the battle bus. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. And this is TNR Sports.